be okay? Not too busy,
Yeah.
looks like.
You say I've been busy?
What? I didn't hear.
I couldn't hear you either. I was asking you to repeat.
I was asking if you've been busy. You have not too busy, I've seen. I mean, didn't look like.
Yeah. This week's been not too bad overall. So yeah, the main thing I've just been working on is the dashboard thing, which Peter sent a note about yesterday that I think I'll just go with the slightly darker yellow. It's not a perfect alignment with AQI, but it works better on the white background. So
it's like a mustard.
Yeah.
That's good. Joe is coming, so that's good.
Yeah. The AQI yellow doesn't work too well on our white background. So yeah, so that's the main thing. Other than that, I have all the updates on here too, but the main homepage is updated based on Peter's feedback. So I think that's all done. And then I'll do the darker yellow. I mean, I could even do that right now. I'll do the dark yellow on the Safecast, the airnote page, which is pretty easy.
It would be nice if we can get the decimal going. So only 2 decimal, not the whole number.
On the map, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's gonna take more work.
I think so.
Yeah.
But it would look much better, I think. I mean, it looks a little bit like improvised, not serious.
It's like trying to steal the color formatting from me. There you go. Cool. So that's that. I'm pretty sure it's EE. Yeah, EE55. So we'll go with that. Oops, save it. The video is like getting in my way here. Cool. So I think that's the last piece of feedback on this one. Let me change to light. I was playing around with like possible dark theme on that one for coloring this one here. So yeah, I think that's the last piece. So I'll put this in place as the main airnote dashboard. And then the next thing I can probably do is make some version of this. I don't know for sure what it's going to look like, but basically when you do like a click through here, I think we're probably going to want something that feels a lot like this dashboard. It can't be exactly this dashboard because we can't have, like, Grafana can't like switch dashboards depending on what type of device it is. So like I'll have to come up with something that like sort of feels like this, but is generic and includes both air and radiation measurements. So I'll have to play around with what the formatting of that is going to look like.
You could get around it with only the panels. If you can get the panels in a web page, and then you can filter out.
Yeah, well, that's kind of the whole point of what Zachary is working on right now, which is the device stories pages. Yeah, so if device stories gets going, then that's another possibility. Is like if this gets all polished, what we could even do is maybe have this page link to the device story page or something like that. Because yeah, the device story already. Yeah, this already even has the capability. Like you can see, oh, it looks like I can't control click to do two. But like you see, well, this is not a great example, but like here, because we don't have any air data, it's not trying to show air tables. But here, because we do have air data, it's showing air tables, but it's not showing, it knows that it doesn't have CPM for this device class, so it's not trying to show you CPM graphs. So like this is the place where we could actually get intelligent about what we show and don't show on the panels. But that's, Zachary is basically taking point on cleaning up that page, which is what this story has to do with. So Ray didn't want to move away from this page until we incorporated at least the feedback points that he brought up here.
Yes, I saw that.
So, like showing the charge time, showing the battery history, getting the location away from like the big front and center, because like you probably know where it is. So Zachary, we can also probably use this because Peter gave me a lot of feedback on this page to replace the current Grafana dashboard. So I think like the more that we can do to make the device story pages look something like this, the better off we'll be. So feel free to use this as kind of like, if you're not sure where to put a panel or something like that, you can use this as an example.
Okay. All these graphs are auto scale. Never mind.
Yep. Yep. So yes, that'd be great. In the meantime, what I can do, while Zachary does his thing, is I should be able to come up with a version of the generic device page that looks kind of like this, but I'll have to fiddle around with like, maybe it'll just be like two graphs, one for CPM and one for PM205 or something. I don't know. I'll have to play around with a little bit, but I think I can do some things to at least make it feel kind of similar, even though we can't get selective about showing and hiding certain panels based on device type on Grafana.
Did you check the new fields that Ray made?
No, I haven't looked at those yet. Peter made a good point that like we probably can't really put them on a dashboard yet because like they just started coming in. So if we make all the dashboards centered around that,
I'm not sure. I think they come from TT Surf directly. So
yeah, but it won't. But old data won't have it, right? So like Ray introduced it like last week. So like we can't show like a 3-day graph yet. So eventually we could probably switch to using the AQI fields, which would be cool. But yeah, Peter made the point that like we probably aren't going to backport all the calculations. So yeah, I haven't looked at it yet, other than just what Ray sent, which looked cool. But so.
Oh yeah, I've seen the code behind it. That's quite cool what he did in a few hours.
yeah, it looks nice. So I think it'll be great. But yeah, right now like our default is like 7 days. So I think we could like just barely start to use it. But if you wanted to do like a 90-day plot or something like that, you'd only get like this much data. So might want to wait a little bit until we have a critical mass of AQI calculations to show. Cool. So yeah, that's what I've been looking at. I'll put this back to in progress since I think I have all the review work that I need. And the next up is what Zachary's working on. So
one question for the device stories. If we can get the list going on the device stories, that would help a lot. The opening list, basically.
Yeah.
That would be very, very good.
So
we can start to move away from real time, because that's getting more and more a problem.
Yeah. So like, Rob, could you maybe take a look at what's missing from here and then put that into a GitHub issue so we can have it properly? Because like, I know you've mentioned some things, but I don't see anything here that like captures it. So
okay, I will check.
Yeah, I know it's like location or whatever, but yeah, like if you can just open up an issue, I think that'd be the easiest thing, and then we can put that on the list. And then because Zachary is just focusing on like the page itself right now, which is especially like the airnote page is really broken because it's not even using like the new style that Emre did. It's using like the old Grafana embeds. So that's like the first thing to fix up, and then fixing up all the feedback from Ray on like these kind of pages here. And then, yeah, there's definitely like the list improvements that we need to go. I know we had like the geocoding story is basically like involved with that, but I think it might be good to like list out like we should have this field, we should have this field, we should have this field, and then that way like we have something to work toward. Yeah, I know like this is related to that question, right? That like we want to be able to type in Los Angeles and see Los Angeles in the list or something like that. But
maybe a completely irrelevant question, but for the Grafana maps, we have another background map instead of OpenStreet, because I checked around in Google Maps. If you have Google Map as a background, that would be wonderful, because you can go directly to the location, and you can, with Street View, you can just jump to the location. And you can see where the sensor is.
Yeah, I'm not seeing anything for that. Yeah, Yeah, it doesn't look like it has swappable. Like, do you know if leaflet can do that? Because I know this is all based on leaflet.
Ah, that's true. Maybe they have that.
Yeah, and I think you even opened up the issue. Like, I know there's like a generic, like open up more leaflet. Where was it? Yeah, unlock a bunch of leaflet features that. Oh no, for some reason I thought you opened this. He doesn't mention Google Maps though. It's more just like lines and polygons and stuff like that. So let's see if there's like
this is
markers.
not Google Maps.
Yeah. So we should get an issue open for that. And since you know most about it, maybe it'd be better if you open it and you can let me know for wording and stuff like that. But I just don't know for sure what sort of like flow you're interested in. So let's see. So it looks like you mentioned this part. And then I guess, oh, I see, because it's a Google Map based thing. I see. So that way, once
so you
you're
can
on
go
here,
to satellite, and then you can go to Street View. You can just
yeah,
just drop it.
I see what you're
where
getting
the
there.
location is.
Yeah.
Look around in 3D. Even.
Just want to see. Just see if Leaflet has support for it.
Yeah.
Because if Leaflet doesn't even have support for it, then it would be the right place to open up issue would be on Leaflet itself, because the Grafana map panel is all. Yeah. Google Leaflet.
Yes.
So yeah, it looks, you know, just like rough Googling around here.
Yeah.
Maybe it might be a plugin.
I think so.
I thought it saw Sling displays Google Maps.
Yeah.
It's OpenStreetMap. Yep.
Yeah,
it wasn't too long ago that I remember looking at our main map, zooming in, and actually going to Street View and seeing the data points from a big Geigy drive, going off down the road, laid on top of the view.
That's nice.
It worked great. Yeah, it worked great, because especially when we were trying to show that there was a hotspot there, and you could kind of visually see what it was, that it was a gutter that had collected leaves and things. And
oh, nice. So the thing that I'm noticing though is like there's a mention of Google Maps in the plugins. This is a search box. This is something different. I'm just not seeing for sure if like Leaflet has support for Street View.
I think it comes automatically if you put the Google Map as a background layer.
Maybe, yeah. Anyway, so that would be the
obviously incorporated into our map. It just happened because one of our base maps was Google.
Anyway, so that would be the first thing on my mind is like, does Leaflet even handle Street View? Because if it doesn't, then we would need that to happen before Grafana can do it. Google Maps compression. I don't even know what that. Yeah, that's just like a random. That's something else. So maybe it just works, and if it does, then we can open up an issue. But yeah, I have no idea offhand. So yeah, it's a good thought. Yeah, if you can find something that shows that Leaflet does it. Yeah, go ahead.
Because I like the idea also that what Joe was saying, that you can directly see the radiation. That will be wonderful. I mean, you can look around and.
There was some trouble with altitude, because if the altitude was too far off, it didn't line up on the very well.
Oh, so it would be like up here.
Yeah, it was, but if being 6 feet in the air wasn't terrible, being 6 feet underground, below ground, also wasn't terrible. But the time I actually did it, it worked out really well. And just like there were little colored dots on the street.
Yep. Cool. So yeah, if nothing else, Rob, I think like you could probably just hit new issue on this and just say, Street View support, and see what Andres thinks, or anyone else who's working on this panel.
Is that even interesting? I guess it was part of the drive viewer where I saw it.
Yeah, I actually need to, one of my things on my list for today is to sign into the GrafanaCon Slack channel that just got opened up. So, because that conference basically just kicked off. And so it might be a fun thing to pitch over there. And like, I'm actually curious to see over the course of the conference what people are doing with maps and stuff. Because it's interesting, like the default Grafana map handling seems like super duper basic. And we're like using this fork. So it'd be interesting to see like what Grafana as an organization is planning on bringing as far as mapping support and stuff like that. Because if they're going to do like a big push into the map world, you might be able to benefit from that. But I haven't heard anything specific yet. Yeah, I mean, let's see what comes up. So in case anyone else is curious to, I think you can still just like register for this, and then you get all the recordings, and then I think you get Slack access and stuff. Were you asking, Joe?
What's our top page we're using? I go to Grafana safecast.cc to find devices. Or what's that going to be eventually? Is that going to be the main map eventually, or?
Good question. Yeah, I mean, I think it's still sort of up for discussion. Like that's where it is right now. I know Peter talked about linking from safecast.org to Grafana somewhere, but I don't have a whole lot of insight into like website layout plans and that sort of thing. I don't know, maybe Rob can offer.
Well, ideally we'd like to be on map.safecast.org so that you can, see the devices and click on them to find out, where they are and what their data is.
That's a good idea.
When you get enough density of air sensors, then just the individual colored dots would give you a view of what the wind patterns and stuff, pollution patterns are. Like we see on the Taiwan map, where they've got so many sensors that you don't need to do an interpolation because there's the sensor just cover the island.
Yeah. I remember my Chrome was having some trouble with that. Yeah. Cool. Yeah. I mean, I think, so I noticed Nick was popping back up. He's sort of the only person that really understands how the code that powers this works. So maybe he can help out with how we're going to somehow get this kind of, because I know we said before that like the people who are interested in air are typically just interested in air, and the people who are interested in radiation are typically just interested in radiation. So we need some sensible way to isolate the two while still giving people the easy access from map.safecast.org. I think in the very short term,
our map and a map. I don't know.
Yeah, I think in the very short term there is, or is it not here anymore? Okay, yeah. Like maybe we could do something where this has radiation map, air map, or something, and then we link the two to different places. But yeah, like it'd certainly be awesome if you could just go here and then have an easy way to like switch between the two contexts.
Have one, the other, or both.
Yeah.
Like
which sort of brings me to what I think Batran is working on, but I haven't seen a whole lot there, which is like coming up with a better air map in general.
Right.
So, and Nick said he might be able to work on this, which is getting the real-time images off of where are they?
Off there, right?
Yeah. Like
actually, I'm only seeing the air sensors now. What happened to all the radiation sensors?
I wish I could tell you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are they turned off?
Yeah, maybe radiation sensors. Yeah, it's there. So
turn them off and back on. Maybe you need to do a unplug it, plug it back in.
Maybe. Let me refresh just in case. But yeah, the point cast sensors are missing. So I do not know. It sure looks that way.
Yeah, it looks like all of them.
So I know Nick had us run like a new script last week that Audrey kicked off. So there might be some relation with because I think he was trying to do like a new layer snapshot. Maybe there's some relation between that work and the fact that the point casts aren't showing up. But yeah, getting back to my first statement, Nick right now is the only person who has any sense of how this all works. We'll have to get Nick to help there.
I shared in JavaScript files that I picked up from the Purple Air website, and there's a lot of code in there for getting the sensors on top of the map.
Yeah, although I question whether or not we could really use it. I mean, I don't know what the licensing is. Yeah,
it's not sure, but
I would be a little surprised if it was a permissive enough license that we could actually do something with it.
I don't know.
I think the
just checked
screenshot
the
that you
code
shared
and
was
I don't-
also, it was like re-prettified too, right? Like so my guess is this is probably proprietary code that they've compressed, and that if we
No,
uncompress
it was
them,
not compressed. No,
No?
I mean, I see. It's just in Java, and you go to the folders, you can see all the functions in there.
yeah, but I remember, I think the screenshot that you showed was actually like a re-prettified compressed version. I can't find it now.
You should, that's the one. That's the one. Exactly. You can just.
Yeah.
It's because it's so long, you don't see it. It's one line.
Yeah, so that's what I'm
Not
saying. It's like they have some internal version of this code that they've minified, and then I think the screenshot that you showed was kind of like unminified, which further supports that like this is probably not code that we can actually use and not be in violation of some license. So if they opened it, if they, I don't know, are they on GitHub?
Yeah, I don't think they are. No, I don't think so. Right.
Yeah, no, it doesn't look like it. That's just someone's random repository. Yeah, if they open the code, then by all means we could do something with it. But I'm pretty sure it would be, not good legal territory to try to snag things right off their website. I think we should plan
no,
to-
not snag,
yeah.
snag off, but just to see how they do it.
Oh
That's all.
yeah. I think that's reasonable. I think also
Yeah,
like
if you have an idea.
Botron's been doing research into like other technologies like Unfolded, for example, or Kepler or things like that. We might be able to do something in that space as well. And in that case, we would actually have a license to use the code rather than just borrowing it without explicit permission. So
Because I
So
really
on
like
any,
that
on any of these platforms, what is the possibility of, as opposed to displaying a sensor, like say we take the sensors that are around Aichi, and if you clicked on any one of those, it should go to a page that shows all 6 of them. This sort of theme page.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I don't know. I've only seen some really basic demos of this so far. So I think Botron would be the person to ask to learn more about the capability, since he's the one kind of diving into it.
I mean, one way we have the little icons on the main map that go to some little story about or some event from the past. We could always put an icon there that was actually a link to the theme page, and then just put it on top of that area, so it'd be easy to attract. Like the little where we have like the little Safecast logos and things with a gear and a
Yeah, and I know Nick's current algorithm pulls together, like if it's a couple of sensors in the same area, this is just one, it looks like, but if you have like a bunch that are right nearby each other, it collects them into just like one aggregate pop-up. So maybe something like that. Yeah, I mean, there's tons of work that I think could be done. I'm hopeful that Botron will be able to do something for us in that space, or if not, maybe Nick will come back and Nick can do something for us in that space. But yeah, because right now it's, for years, it's all just been Nick's domain. And so it's time probably for some revamp and larger improvements to this infrastructure.
Well, we need to work on something, because there's going to be thousands of airnotes.
Yep. There's already a ton of them.
Sure. That would be nice, but I haven't seen anything yet. We still have 200 maximum.
Yeah, what are we up to? I have, where was the one? This one. I did this one with a bar graph just because I was curious. So, and it's interesting. So I've been meaning to post, this is why I have the airnote forum up in my list. And it's interesting to see like this kind of decline that's been happening. And I wonder if it's people running into the sort of problem that I'm hitting, which is that like finding a good place to put it is tricky. Like, my house, the design of my house is such that like we just none of the windows actually get like direct sun for most of the day because there's eaves. And so like I had to look around. Yeah, exactly. So my guess is there's probably a lot of houses that fall into that category. And so the idea of like stick it to a window certainly doesn't work for me. It might be other people that it doesn't work for. And I had to like look around, and eventually I spotted an arch in my yard that was made out of wood, and I was like, this will work. And it's got it's getting some sun exposure. And so I used your trick where I took the sticky part off of the sticky part was pretty much done for anyway, but I just used like the plastic part of the command strip and stapled that to the wood of the arch, and then put that on, then everything was looking real good. But I wonder if there's other users that are running that same problem. That's why we're seeing this sort of like dip where people are like, oh, this should work. But like actually the spot that I thought worked only got exposure once it hit summertime. The exposure was only during like the very early part of the day, and then like the arc of the sun hit the eve, and no sun.
And a lot of people who are doing place and forget really did place it and forget.
Yeah. So I wonder if we're actually seeing a bunch of devices that, you know, I guess come to think of it, I could do a plot of like battery voltage. I won't try to do that live and like waste everyone's time, but like we could do a plot of battery voltage split by device, and that would tell us for sure if we're seeing a lot of devices that are falling into like the 3.5 volt range, to kind of confirm that theory.
Yeah, and also I've seen them just crashing. I mean,
I haven't seen that myself, but yeah.
Peter has one too. His is not doing anything. So
did some crash? Rob, have some airnotes just crashed?
Yeah, just disappear, and then you have to restart them.
That's good news.
And it's also interesting. I asked Ray 3 times, do we have something set up that a monthly reset or a weekly reset on those machines?
Actually, the reason that is good news is the device in Okuma disappeared, and I assumed that the JR people just finally found it and pulled it off the window. But if it just needs reset,
more likely it crashed.
Maybe it just crashed. I mean, they are machines. They have a possibility. Some electrons go another way, and bam.
Well, then maybe they should be on an eve that puts them in the dark 1 week a year.
To let them reboot. That's great.
Okay, yeah, that's actually hopeful, because we've had that problem with lots of this since, you know, all the point casts and stuff too. We eventually built in a hardware timer that gets a watchdog timer that the software resets it, and if it ever times out and it's like, I don't know, 10 minutes or something, then it just does it hits the reset line on the processor.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it's even done in software, being honest.
Yeah, but I prefer mechanical, not mechanical. I prefer discrete hardware timers, because if the processor locks up or gets stuck in a no-op loop in only 3 instructions, then you need something to break that, and the only thing you can do that is to pull down the non-maskable interrupt or something.
Hard, yeah. Get the hard set down.
Yeah, NMI or reset, either one.
Or just a simple relay that's being activated. If the CPU is not running, it goes down.
I don't need a relay. A MOSFET or just a diode and a transistor is fine.
That's fine.
There are even some of the chips even have that kind of thing built in. But although like I said, I tend not to trust something that's integral to the processor, because if it's stuck, then that might not work.
Sure. Okay.
So we were chatting about restarts. I pulled this up, which does sort of support the theory that over like the last 14 days, you can see a number of them are hitting this like steady decline like that. Right. So there's one that's definitely not getting a good charge cycle. So I bet we're having.
And how did you pull these? You just
Yeah, so this is Kibana. The reason I did this in Kibana because Grafana doesn't have great like filter support. So you'll hit that you might have seen it before where you get the little red exclamation point where it says like too many buckets. Kibana doesn't have that problem because it can use like proper filters. And so basically what I just did is keep
that voltage less than 3.7.
Yeah, exactly. And then I just told it to give me the minimum, and then actually the top doesn't make sense here. It doesn't have support for like bottom, but I'll just do like top 1000, and you can kind of see this decline. First off, all of these are less than 3.7.
Right. So they're all in bad shape.
Yeah. So they're all, probably not getting a good charge. And you see these ones down here actually probably dropping in and out because of the low battery charge. Yep. So I get the feeling I'm probably not the only one that's having placement problems. And we're going to need to come up with something, some sort of like better placement guide to let people know what their options are. Or who was it? Someone in the
pop out of the airnote and say, "I need more sun."
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. I mean, we could even, if we wanted to get aggressive about it, we could even start emailing people if they have email addresses associated with their device at least.
Right.
Yeah, and someone on the channel, I forget who was, mentioned maybe potentially shipping it with the like these little like stick-on cable tie blocks, because then you could cable tie it to something. I don't know if Ray is planning on like a new case design, but like the thing that we were chatting about in the channel is like, boy, wouldn't it be great if actually it just had slots, you know, built into the case design.
Oh, in one corner, so or on something so you could put straps through it.
Yeah,
instead of
I can't.
something on it.
Yeah, exactly. I can't find the.
Yeah, and keyhole screw slots too, so you could put a screw in a piece of wood hanging on that.
Yeah, that came up in the conversation as well. That, but in the meantime, at least there was some ideas about. Now I can't find the link right now, but yeah, there's like the 3M blocks that you can put on. Yeah, GoPro clamp. Yeah.
Because the little 3 fingers that that GoPro has on the cameras, there are so many accessories for that, from helmet mounts to wall mounts to surfboard mounts. So if you just match their little 3 fingers, then you've got the entire Chinese injection molding business behind you to help you get gadgets.
Yep.
Yeah, that's the older airnote had that. That was wonderful.
Yes,
I think this is a great design with the display. I really like it. I mean, you can see what's going on, and not just a number. But that's maybe coming up in. There's supposed to be. There's talk about a hackathon between Blues and Safecast. So that will be interesting, because then we can work on that.
Did you hear anything about a schedule?
No, nothing yet.
Okay.
I mean, there was only a suggestion from Peter, kind of, and then Ray would check with his team if it was if they are interested in doing that. So
yeah, I talked to Ray about that about 3 weeks ago, and we were also talking about having a collaboration. So yeah, those things.
Would be great.
I found the thread. Yeah, this is what we were talking about, and then I found these ones on Amazon that, like, it's still, you know, it's like a box of 100, but at least it's a reasonable price for a box of 100.
Those don't stick well enough.
Nah,
in order for those to be reliable, you have to, if you put them on in a factory where the plastic has been cleaned of the mold release from the being molded, and then you stick them on that, they can last a long time. But sending them out with people in a device, not enough of them will get them on adequately to make them stay for more than a few weeks.
Yeah.
Or days.
So anyway, we're about to hit our recording limit. One thing I wanted to say, just since Zachary is here, you know, Zachary, you and I chatted a little bit yesterday about what we probably need to do on the device story page. Did you have any follow-up questions from that, or are you good?
I wasn't exactly sure on how we want to separate airnote and device story and the device story we have now.
Yeah.
Code-wise, I'm not sure what to mean by delete one of the HTML, because.
Yeah, so right now I think we have 2 pages. What I was thinking is, like, for today, I would probably just change it so the airnote route is just a redirect.
Oh, I see.
Right. What was it? View airnote. Yeah. So, like, rather than have this like custom page, which today is just, as I showed earlier, just basically doesn't work at all. Instead of doing this, I think probably what makes more sense is to, where does this go right now? Yeah, this goes to show airnote on device stories. What I would probably do is here, just have this be a redirect to device story for starters, because then at least we'll have a working functional page that we could do something with. And then we can focus on making the charts and stuff like that look better, which, if the charts work better, it will benefit it'll benefit the airnote case as well as just the clicking through the device stories list page as well. So I think that's probably the better thing to do for the short term.
Yeah.
Because then we can just focus on making a good device story page. And then at some point we'll have to think about, like, how we want to handle, like, pin handling and all that sort of stuff. But, like, in my mind, that's like a later problem. I think the more immediate problem is trying to make these pages more useful and generally more acceptable as a landing point than what we have on Grafana right now.
Yeah.
Make sense?
Yeah.
Cool. Any other questions?
Not for now.
Cool. Yeah, because then we don't have to worry about maintaining 2 pages for the time being. We can just maintain 1,
Yeah.
and then we'll worry about the second page when we're ready to take over editing and pin handling and all that sort of stuff. But that'll be a whole other. It's basically a whole other track of work that just happens to live on a similar page. Cool. Anyone have anything else?
No, me.
5 minutes remaining. I think we're good. Zachary's working on this. I think Nick's working on this. I don't think there's been any updates. Yep, no updates yet. And then I set up Audrey for the deploy story. So she's just getting started, but she did help out with Nick's deploy last week. So that was a good first step in the right direction. So she's got her credentials. She's able to deploy the application. So if I'm not around, you could actually probably have her deploy in my stead at this point. But hopefully what she'll be able to do for us is actually build something that'll just be automated so that you don't even really need a second human. You can just push the button.
A mini mat.
Yeah, basically. Yeah. And ideally a RoboMat eventually. but yes, for now, Audrey is a backup mat.
Okay, good. So
Cool.
I have to go.
Yep, sounds good. Me too. Have a good rest of your day, everybody.
You too. Okay.
Bye.
Bye-bye.